G'day YouTubers and welcome back. Today have I got a mystery horror for you guys. Today we're going to have a quick chat about the new movie Weapons. That was directed by Zach Krieger, and that's the fella that actually happened to bring us Barbarians. Now he's come forward with this beast, and I've got to admit, it's a really good movie. It has a lot of good jump scares. It actually had me yelling at the screen, don't go in there and don't do that. As well as it had me, a couple of little scenes in here that actually had me, possibly looking away and not really wanting to focus too much on what was happening. Now, Weapons story is definitely, I would say, equal parts haunting, disturbing, and definitely unforgettable. You got to think about it, well, the way I do anyway. 17 kids out of the same classroom disappear at the same time of night doing the Naruto run down the road all together and then end up disappearing. Now, that's a mystery and a pretty crazy one at that, and that's what this movie unfolds. Now let's get stuck into Weapons. So the movie starts off with a child's voiceover explaining what's actually happening. And what it's actually saying is that 17 children from the same classroom, from the same school, at the exact same time of night at 2:17 a.m. disappeared. They got out of their beds, opened their doors on their houses, and just ran clean into the darkness, never to be seen again. And they all ran weirdly with their arms out, sort of like what everyone's explaining is Naruto running, and just disappeared into clean darkness. Now that's what the voiceover is explaining at the start, before it actually starts jumping into it. But the one thing that I find weird about this whole situation that it explains at the start is only one kid actually didn't go into the forest. And that would seem weird to me. Out of 18 kids in a classroom, 17 disappear, one doesn't that seem a little bit weird to you? It does to me. So then it jumps to a couple of months later where the children obviously still haven't been found, and it seems like the whole town itself is actually turned on the classroom's teacher, whose name is Justine, who's played by Julia Garner. Now, in this movie, she plays a teacher who's obviously very distraught after like losing her whole classroom. The whole town's turned on her, so she's struggling with her own demons, with bad dreams, alcoholism, and things other than badness, pretty much. Just trying to sort of deal with her way of not knowing actually what happened, and no one's got any questions to how all the children got lost. Now, the main first little bit of the movie actually follows her story, but the weird thing about this movie that I actually really like is it's sort of like cut up into segments where you follow different characters, and they're sort of the same day that's happened with, Justine's character, but their same day just in their own lives that they were happening, and it was really cool to see that. And then the next person that you actually get to see after it's finished with Justine is Archer, who has to be Josh Brolin's character. Now, he's playing a dad who's obviously a bit depressed, probably really down and out on his luck because he's one of the parents who's lost their child. And I don't know how that would feel, going to the police and not getting any information. Like, they've been looking for 3 to 4 months, have no information, no idea where the kids are. The parents are starting to give up, but it seems like Archer, he's not giving up on his kid just yet. He's decided that, since the police aren't doing too much, he's going to go out on his own and try and work it out what's happening. So first off, he grabs some doorbell footage that he has of his own son leaving the house, and he studies it to the T to work out if there's anything that he missed or anything that he might be able to find out on the location that he's going. So he studies it to a T, sort of finds out, a direct line on where the child might be going, and then happens to stumble across that a couple of other parents have Ring cameras as well on their doors and are able to show him some of their footage. So with that way, he gets another parent's footage, works out possibly an extra where they're going, and that's the area that he's going to start searching. And then that's how cool this movie is, really. Like, it just doesn't follow one character itself. It follows, pretty sure 4 to 5 characters, and it mixes up between the principal of the school, a police officer that Justine knows, a junkie that's running around the town, and the actual kid himself, which is Alex Perry. Now, he's the kid that survived, or the only one that didn't really survive, but he didn't really get taken, as we will say. And then he ended up going back to school, which was really weird. And then that's what sort of I feel for that kid in the story as it is, because once you find out his story, it's really, really sad and amazing how he's still strong and doing what he's doing. And I know I'm a bit mixed matched in how this plot is coming across to you, but that's how it's actually shown in the movie, because it's a lot of mixed matched characters that end up tying in at the end. It feels really jumpy and thrown around a lot, and you're wondering why, but at the end it all ties in for one reason, and one of the best endings that I've ever seen in a movie. But the first time you get to see Alex Perry is when he's starting off at school, and all the kids are there, and this is obviously before they've actually disappeared. And it would seem to be that he would be a bit of, maybe of a nerdy kid, more of a smarter kid, and he gets bullied by the other classmates a little bit. And then it progresses into his story a bit further, where his parents actually let one of their other relatives move into the house, and she ended up not being she's actually a relative, but she's a relative plus a little bit something else. She happens to be a witch as well. And she seems to be like she's actually struggling with her health a little bit and might need help. And she somehow suckers Alex's parents into helping her, and next thing you know, she's taking over the whole house and has pretty much Alex's parents under a catatonic state. And to the point where that poor kid, if he doesn't do as he's told, the Aunt Gladys lady is actually going to kill his parents and pretty much say it was him or kill him as well. So that poor kid's still got to, go to school, do all his homework, even look after his parents because they're in a catatonic state, and feed them soup and everything, while his Aunt Gladys is, running around the house, being boss and doing really what she wants. And it ends up that her main goal is she needs power, because apparently she's a witch and she's getting sick and she's going to die, but she needs power. And it looks like to me that she's draining it out of the people. And it ends up that she suckers Alex in and makes him actually collect items from his classroom, so all his classmates end up falling under her spell and doing what she wants. And obviously it felt to me like she was, once you get into it, that she was draining the kids of their energy so she could bump her energy back up. And the only way that you could really tell that was realistic from her hair. When you first actually seen Aunt Gladys in the movie, she had no hair, and then progressively by the end of it, she had a lot more hair, she almost had a little bit, almost a full head of hair, which was weird, but again, that's probably the witchery side of it, where she's draining the powers of everyone that was brought to the house. And that's what I mean, like, you actually have to go out and watch this movie because all the characters culminate pretty much into one, and it ends up, all the character story, all the different stories that you see throughout this movie end up being into the one final scene. And I gotta admit, it was a really good ending. Like, I don't really want to give too much away, but let's just say the witch does get her own and little Alex gets his way back, but there are a lot of sacrifices and stuff that happens along the way that even had me thinking twice and questioning about this witchery stuff, and is it real? Now, I will admit, straight up, no word of a lie, this movie actually had me jumping at certain stages, and, definitely screaming at the screen. Don't go in there, or just some little creepy ways that Zach had directed this movie and put it together. Like, it was really well done. It's one of the best horror movies of this year, I think, and I've watched quite a few, but I think this one is definitely up there. Even my wife would agree with on. You sit down to watch this one, and you actually didn't know what you were going to expect the whole way through. Like, from the trailers back in the day, I was coming into this movie thinking a lot different than what it actually was. Even my wife was. We were actually thought it was going to come across more like ghost or paranormal or demons or something like that. Not actually an old lady with a witch, and a real creepy one at that, that's for sure. And that's why I'd just like to share a couple of my favourite scenes and things about this movie with you right now. There might be a couple little spoilers, but I tell you what, it's going to be worth it. Even if you're going to go check out the movie, it's not going to spoil anything for you. It's an epic movie and you're going to have to see it. But let's have a chat about the couple of scenes that I really like. Now, there is a lot of scenes. This whole movie is epic, honestly, just to say. But yeah, to pick out a couple of them, just a couple of ones that really stood out to me, the scenes anyway, was one of them where Justine, who's Julia Garner's character, is actually following Alex home because she wants to have a chat with him, because she hasn't actually been able to have a chat with him since the kid's gone missing, and she might be reeling from it. She thought he might be upset from it, but she just really wants to have a chat to him and see how he's going. But because, through knowing the other character stories and such like that Aunt Gladys doesn't really want Alex to tell anyone that she's there or anything that's happened with his parents, so he's trying to ignore the teacher and just go straight home. Well, Justine's sort of not having that, so she follows Alex all the way home, tries to chat with him, he tells her to leave her alone. Alex goes inside, so Justine starts snooping around a little bit. She snoops around the house. You can't actually see anything in the house because it's boarded up. Well, not boarded up, they've put newspaper all over the windows and you can't see in. So Justine, being a little bit of a sneak, walks around the house and finds a little gap in the newspaper, and of course, I'm sitting there going, don't scream and don't look in there, but course, she looks in there, and that's when you actually get to see the first little signs of something is definitely not right with this movie, and it's not actually going to be ghost or paranormal or anything like that. You see Alex's parents just sitting on the couch, catatonic, sort of not looking the best. To me, they sort of look a bit zombified because they look not the right colour and just, zoned out completely. But she sort of sees that, freaks out a little bit and bails. But then, I think the curiosity gets the better of Justine, and that's another little scene that I like that creeped me out a little bit, is she decides that she's going to go stake out Alex's house and see what's happening. So in doing so, she parks out the front of his house a little bit and sits there and starts staking out. But because she's a bit depressed because of the whole town going against her and whatnot, she's still drinking. So she has a little bit of a drink, passes out. Now the next scene you see, she's passed out in the car, it goes over to Alex's house, and the door creepily opens by itself. And I gotta admit, I would be never one to go into that, or if anything was coming out, I'd be definitely going the other way. But you actually get to see Alex's mum come out, and when they're under this sort of possession, they don't move right, they move really stiff, and it's just really creepy. And Alex's mum comes out of the house. Julie's asleep in her car. I don't know why she'd be asleep in her car without the car doors locked, because that's just crazy to me. The mum sort of hobbles over and then looks like she's got a knife in her hand, stops at the window, real creepily, mind you, walks around the car. You hear her trying the handles, and then click, gets a handle. And I was just like, well, yep, it's over. Julie is going to, she's going to get stabbed. It's going to be all over. But no, you hear a pair of scissors clicking. And then next thing you know, it comes over in a shot, and it takes a little bit of her hair off, takes it, and then leaves and hobbles back in the house and disappears. And that's all you get to see. And that really creeped me out to the point I was like to my wife, did you see that? She's like, yeah, I seen that. I was like, now that was creepy. If she came at me out like that, if you're out walking, you see someone walking at you like that, you're probably going to bop them and then just run. Well, I would anyway. I think one of the other scenes that got me was one of the interesting scenes where you actually got to see Aunt Gladys do her, witchcraft for the first time. And it happens to be, well, the first time that we actually get to see it on camera anyway, is when she does it in the school principal's home, that actually at the school where Julia works and the kids went missing from. Now she appears at the house just weirdly because all this story, she missed her bus and she just needs a glass of water to come inside. So they come inside, she asks them for a glass of water, then asks them for a bowl of water. So they give her a bowl of water. Next thing you know, she pulls out this twig, pricks her finger, it's got a little ribbon wrap around it, shows it to the principal and his partner, and then goes over to his partner, cuts some little hair off his head, wraps it back on the stick, snaps it in front of him, and the principal just flat out starts attacking his partner to the point where he headbutts him to death. Pretty much caves his head in, and that was pretty intense to see. And you would think that would be over, but no. Then Aunt Gladys has got another one. She pulls out a little strip of hair that she got earlier from Julia. And then next thing you know, she wraps it around, snaps it again, and the principal goes absolutely crazy, runs out of the house doing the same Naruto run, runs all the way across town, and to the point where it even crosses into Archer's story, where he stopped Julia at a gas station, he's chatting to her, and next thing out of nowhere, you see the principal running clean across the gas station, tackles Julia, and next thing you know, they're having a bit of a disagreement, rolling around, fighting. She's trying to get away because he is completely zombified and just trying to kill her. He's just locked on her like a heat-seeking missile, and it doesn't matter what they do. In the end, he had to get hit by a car and pretty much crushed before he would stop trying to attack her, which was pretty insane. One of my final scenes, which will have a little bit of a spoiler in it, but I just feel it was just fitting. Finally at the end, poor little Alex finally got his revenge on Aunt Gladys because he put up with a lot from her, and it was pretty sad to see. I don't know, I think I've got that soft spot for kids now that I'm getting older, but it was pretty sad to see how she treated him and what he had to go through just to look after his mum and dad. And at the end of it, because he actually seen her do a little bit of her witchcraft, I don't know how he got, the scones to be able to do it, but he ended up doing a little bit of witchcraft himself, but I don't think that he understood what exactly he was doing. I think possibly in his own head he was trying to undo the catatonic state that his parents were in, but it was something else. When he finally got to do his witchcraft that sort of really went bad on Aunt Gladys, he accidentally broke the twig that had all the kids' memorabilia or anything that she had to make the kids catatonic to be able to come over to their house. He snapped that twig and then wrapped her hair around it. And if you wrap her hair around it and then snap it, whatever was first attached to that stick is gonna go on and pretty much on a rampage and kill whatever that. It's a heat-seeking zombie to kill whatever that was. The hair was snapped on that stick. And yeah, he doesn't know it, I don't think, but he accidentally snaps the stick. Well, he doesn't. I don't think he accidentally. I think he deliberately did it. But yeah, he doesn't know what stick it was. I'm pretty sure he thought it was his parents' stick, but it ended up being the stick that all the children were attached to. And yeah, he wraps Aunt Gladys's hair around it, snaps it, and then that's the best scene or ending scene I've seen in a movie in a long time. All 17 kids are in their basement. They turn, and Aunt Gladys hears it, and she runs. And she runs for like 3 to 4 houses through before they actually finally get her. And it was pretty full on to see 17 kids actually tear someone to pieces, like squash their head, rip their eyes out. Like, yeah, it was pretty intense, but also really cool to see. But I feel that was a very fitting way for Alex to get a little bit of revenge on Aunt Gladys to what happened. Now, I feel Julia Garner actually nailed her role in this one, portraying a teacher who, you know, had the whole town turn on her, but still didn't give up hope looking for them kids and still wanted questions answered that she wasn't going to get. And ended up, she did get them in the end, and they got all the kids back, which was really cool to see. As well as I feel Josh Brolin playing Archer, that was like, wow. He actually really made it feel like I don't even know, how it would actually feel to have your child taken off you and like losing them and then not having any questions or any answers and just saying stuff it and having enough and just going out and doing it all yourself. He portrayed that dad so well. The depression, the anger, just everything that he did was like perfect. He really fit that role well. And I actually found out, it was actually quite funny to find that even though I don't think he would fit it, but Pedro Pascal was actually meant to play Archer in this movie, and I don't think he would actually been as fitting for this role as Josh Brolin was. Josh Brolin comes off a little bit more rough around the edges and a bit more of a tougher guy than what Pedro Pascal would, because yeah, I just think this was a perfect role for Josh Brolin, and Pedro Pascal might not have had this one under his, wraps. And by far, I feel the best performer of this movie was Amy Madigan, and she was the lady that actually played Aunt Gladys. She was the perfect fit to this puzzle. Like, she made this movie, I feel like, without her actually playing it, which I don't know if it would be as good. She just gave off that real creepy old lady, like creepy old cat lady vibe that, maybe she might invite you into the house, but you're not getting out, that's for sure. And I don't know, but yeah, she nailed that role 100%. She just didn't obviously research about being a witch. I feel that for this one, she became a little bit of a witch, especially the stuff that she was doing and playing with. I'm not too into by big witchcraft as it is, but I think she was, along the right lines of what she was doing, that's for sure. Definitely go check out Weapons, because this movie had me gripping the edge of the seat, screaming at the screen, even getting scared every now and then by a couple of jump scares and the creepy stuff that pops out. And maybe the fact of I don't really like the fact of doors opening by themselves and having dark spaces behind them. But as usual, that's for you guys to decide. And why don't you let me know if you actually do check out Weapons, what you thought of it. Drop it down in the comments. I'll get back to you as I always do. And as usual, I'd just like to thank all my subs for liking and watching my videos. I love you all, and I'm always here to do my videos. And anyone that's new that's watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe jump over to my page and check out some of my other videos. You might just like them. And as usual, everyone, I will catch you on the next one.